Today we're back with Padded Accelerator Machine. We're 12 days from Mustang Week and we're still trying to get this car done. Last time out we assembled the long block and today we're going to finish our engine. All right, Pat, so what's the plan here? I mean, last time out we were working on the top of the engine, which I thought we'd be going, but now we're back underneath.
Yeah, we're going to put the pump and pickup on, along with the oil pan, timing cover. And the only reason we're doing that now is because we're going to make kind of a mess when we start to put the valve train together.
It'll pour down to the bottom. Makes sense. All right, so before we get into the pan, we're going to install the timing cover. We already have our timing chain. Put a little glue on the gasket to make it seal better. Sitting on the pins for now. Your oil pump shaft is something you definitely don't want to go cheap on. You lose oil pressure, you're going to lose your engine. So again, we went with the best, ARP.
We're going to install the oil pump and check the clearance of the pickup.
All right, so the pump and the pickup are assembled now. What the hell is the plate in for?
We're going to check the clearance on the pickup. Basically put a little mound on here, sit the pan on with no gasket, and make sure everything's kosher with the pan. That's backwards, by the way.
It's actually a little bit high, so we're gonna make some adjustments here to bring that down just a little bit.
All right, now we're gonna use our specialty tool to adjust the pickup.
Adjusted.
Three-eighths or so.
Perfect. All right, so now the gas is glued on. We're gonna put silicone on top as well just to make sure it seals.
Yeah, in all the corners where it doesn't meet up 100% perfect.
All right, so we're back up top. What's next? Valve train, lifters, where we go from here?
Yeah, we're gonna assemble all the valve train, then we'll do the intake manifold and the rest of the tin.
Awesome. Time to get dirty. So what's the reasoning for having these sitting in oil like we did?
The lifter itself has needle bearings in the roller portion of the lifter. And really the only good way to get them kind of prelude before the engine starts is to do this.
Waste a quarter mobile one?
Yes. Good thing we checked these lifters, Bill.
All right, so what do we have to do to prep the push rods and put them in?
All I'm doing is putting a little bit of extreme pressure lube on them. Just kind of helps with the break-in.
Now explain to the reviewers what the point of these dog bones is. What exactly are they doing?
Being that this is a roller lifter, it keeps the lifter indexed properly so the roller's not perpendicular to the cam.
This is basically the dog bone retainer here. This stops them from getting loose inside the engine and then coming off. All right, so we got the push rods in, everything's together with the lifters. What's next?
We're gonna put the rocker arms on. We're gonna measure the lifter preload and see if we have to do any shimming.
So in a moment of what I'm going to call stupidity, I went to Pat and said, hey, I think it'd be really cool to keep the original rockers. Now these are the ones, the 1.7 cranes that came on the Cobra heads. And I'm like, wow, it'd be cool to keep the original rockers. Well, thankfully he and Scorpion talked me out of it. Scorpion said I was a set of new rockers, much better quality, much higher quality. We're going to go with these over the stock setup. Now, while Pat's getting everything ready, one of the cool things about the X2 heads, if you're looking for a stock replacement style head, you can use the stock valve train. So your stock rockers, stock push rods, all those components will work with this head. In our case, obviously, we're replacing and upgrading everything, so we're planning on making a little more power than stock. So install the rockers is pretty simple as far as bolting them down. You put this in place and bolt it on, but what are you doing here? How do you actually make the adjustments?
On a stud type, essentially you'll run the nut on the stud down till you're at 0 lash, and then turn about half a turn. Would be about 30 thousandths preload. On this, we don't have that adjustment. So in order to achieve what we need to shim the bottom of the pedestal. Now when you're checking the preload on the lifter, you want to make sure that the valve is in the fully closed position. The easiest way is to just start turning the motor over, and you want to watch for the exhaust valve to just start to move. That means you can adjust the intake valve. Ideally, you want your preload to be anywhere between 15 to 40 thousandths. In our case, after shimming, we wound up at about 25 thousandths. It's slightly different when adjusting the exhaust valve. You want to crank the motor over until you see the intake valve go to the fully open position. And once it begins to back up a little bit is when you adjust the exhaust. And now that they're all shimmed properly and torqued down, we're going to go ahead and torque them to 20 foot-pounds.
All right, the rocker's on, ready to do lower intake. In the case of this, Pat's got the gaskets already glued up. We're gonna use the gaskets on the side here, and then I always like to use silicone instead for the front and back, give a much better seal. Trying to line up the holes as best I can see.
Yeah, you don't want to slide it. Perfect. Straight down.
Now, my initial plan when I was using the factory rockers was to use the factory valve cover. We had them repowder coated. Unfortunately, the Scorpion rockers are larger. These aren't going to work. We have an excellent solution from Holley. These are the Holley Sniper valve covers. These are going to fit your basically any of your small block Windsors. Fabricated covers look absolutely amazing on our engine. and again, provide plenty of clearance for the rockers. The last two things we're going to do is we're going to throw the balancer on and then the water pump, and then the engine's going to go in the car as is, and the rest will be assembled once it's in the car. So next to Pat and Accelerator Machine, our engine is just about ready to go in our car. Now the upper intake is just bolted on for looks at this point, but we had to see what the finished engine would look like. Plus we wanted to check for clearance with our new valve covers, but everything's ready to go. Next time you see this engine, it's going to be sitting in the Cobra.